I was just prepping the recording and now I see that today's difficulty is brutal. So I'm really looking forward to that because we love hard puzzles here. And if you're new to the channel, we play Clues by Sam every day, and it is a daily puzzle that gets harder along the week. So today, Sunday, June 7th, we have a brutal one. That's very interesting. I have apparently caught a cold or something, and I have a sore throat, so I'm not really better today. That's why I'm not live streaming again today, but I will do this puzzle. And if you want to play along with me, the link is in the description. We can play together, and you know that there's 20 people. None of them lie. There's no guessing involved, so let's see how this goes. We start with Uma. And the answer, Brian is one of Dennis's 3 instant neighbors. Brian is an instant then. And we know that Dennis has 5 people neighboring him. 3 of those are instants, so 2 more instants. Brian says that let's see if I can make it to the end of the video. Exactly 2 instants to the left of Uma are neighboring Vicky. Okay, so there's 2 people to the left of Uma who neighbor Vicky, and 2 of those are instants, so both of them. We don't need Brian's clue anymore because it doesn't tell us any new information beyond those 2 people. Brian says that exactly 2 of Pam's 4 criminal neighbors also neighbor Nala. So Pam and Nala share 4 people as neighbors. Of those shared people, 2 of those are criminals. So that means that only 1 more innocent, but we don't know who those 2 criminals are. So let's leave that clue there. Look at Samira's. Pam is one of Kita's 3 innocent neighbors. So Pam is an innocent. Kita has 3 innocent neighbors. So that means that she's gonna share at least one of them with Pam. She couldn't have 2 more instances here in column C to make her 3 total, because that'll make Pam and Nala share too many instances. There's not enough people to make 2 criminals now. So we know now for sure that Helen and Tina are opposites, and not that. Because Uma is an instant and she neighbors Kita. I almost got caught there. Okay. So Kita, let's go through all we know again. Kita has 3 instant neighbors. So far we know about 2 of them, Pam and Uma. Okay. Kita is gonna have 1 more instant neighbor and 2 criminal ones. She doesn't need to have that instant neighbor be in column C. It could be that Isaac is an innocent, and then both Helen and Tina are criminals. But one thing we need to remind ourselves of is Dennis. We know that Dennis has 3 instant neighbors too. So that means that if because we know that Pam and Nala are gonna share 1 instant neighbor only. If that instant is Tina, that will make Kita's 3 instant neighbors, right? That will be Pam, Uma, and Tina, which would force Helen and Isaac both to be criminals, and that would also force Gunny to be a criminal because Pam and Nala share 2 criminals. Now Dennis has too many criminals. There's not enough people to make Dennis have 3 innocents neighboring him. So we can't have Tina be an innocent. Now we know that since Pam and Nala, share 1 innocent, either Kenny or Helen have to be an innocent. And since Dennis still needs a 3rd innocent neighboring him, he's gonna have Brian, and either Kenny or Helen, that's 2. He needs a 3rd one to be either Ellie or Isaac, so we can tag these 2 as opposites as well. And we know that Kita needs a 3rd one. So Helen and Isaac are also opposite. So that's a lot of tags, but what does that give us? It gives us Ellie and Gunny are also opposites. What do I do with that information? We'll see. Tina says now that only one of the 3 criminals neighboring Helen is below Ellie. So Helen has 3 criminals neighboring her. Okay? Only one of those 3 is below Ellie. So Isaac and Kita are opposites neighboring Helen. And Helen also has Ellie and Gunny as opposites neighboring her. And she also has Dennis and Nala, who are also gonna be opposites, because only one of them is gonna be the 3rd and last criminal neighboring Helen. So that's a couple more tags to make us confused here. What else? What else? Do we have enough now to make some sort of scenario? I didn't tag Isaac and Kita because there's not enough people to tag here. There's not enough places to put the tags on, actually, sorry. So again, let's start with maybe Kita then. Let's make Kita an innocent. We know that that will make Isaac a criminal and Helen an innocent. Isaac is also opposites with Ellie, so Ellie would be an innocent. And Ellie is opposites with Gunny, so Gunny will be a criminal. Gunny is opposites with Helen, so that works. That will make Dennis a criminal. Because, what is it? Helen has 3. How do we know that Dennis is a criminal? That doesn't make sense. What am I looking for here? Kita has her 3 innocent neighbors. Let me put the tags back and see what I'm looking for actually, just to make sure that I know what it is. Kita is gonna have these guys be opposites, right? And these guys are opposites as well. So these guys are opposites, Gunny and Helen. Helen and Isaac are opposites. So if we make Helen an innocent, that will make these 2 criminals. That works for Pam and Nala, and that works for Pam and Kita. Pam has 4 criminal neighbors, so that's important for us, because we know that Isaac and Kita are opposites. So we know that Pam needs a 4th criminal neighbor that has to be Nala. So that goes like this. Now, how does this go for Dennis? Dennis has his 3 innocent neighbors, okay? Pam and Nala share 1 innocent here. 2 criminals total, which is what's said by Ryan. Pam has 4 criminal neighbors, as says Ryan. Kita has 3 innocents, as says Samira. Helen has 3 criminals neighboring her, and that's okay. The 3 are here. So this works for everybody. Does Helen being a criminal change anything for us? That will make Kita a criminal because of Isaac. Isaac could make Ellie a criminal as well. And Nala will be a criminal. So are we looking at Nala always being a criminal? Because in this scenario, Pam has her 4 criminal neighbors. Kita has her 3 innocent ones. Helen has... Helen has more. No, Helen has 3, so that's correct. I was counting her in, which I shouldn't. Dennis has 3 innocent neighbors, shouldn't count him. So can we ever make, let me clear the lower tags, can we ever make Nala an innocent? And if we do so, that will make Dennis a criminal, which is okay. But Dennis is opposites with somebody else, isn't him? Here? For Helen's situation. How would that go? I don't think it's Dennis and Nala that we have to look at. I think it's Isaac and Kita. Because they are opposites. So maybe we make Isaac. Maybe we make Kita. Nah. What did I just try? Maybe this is one I have to use pen and paper for. Brian is one of Dennis's 3 innocent neighbors. So Dennis has to have 3. And he is gonna have, because these guys are opposites and these guys are opposites. Helen has to have 3 criminals. Sorry. Nice. Back to it. Helen has 3 criminals neighboring her. So she couldn't have... If we try to make Isaac a criminal, he'll make both Ellie and Kita innocents. What does that change for us? Isaac is opposites with Helen, so Helen will be innocent and Gunny will be criminal. So that makes Dennis and Nala opposites. That's okay. Dennis has 3, Kita has 3. Pam and Nala have 2. So that's fine. If we make Isaac innocent, these 2 are criminals. That makes Helen criminal, Gunny innocent. Dennis has 3, Helen has 3. So it only worked with Helen being in it. It doesn't really matter what Nala is when Isaac is an innocent, is it? Or am I miscounting this? And when I say that brutal is harder than evil, I think I'm right. It has more of a weight to the word. So it makes it feel like it's harder. Helen is gonna have 3 here. Pam has 4 criminal neighbors. So Nala always has to be a criminal. If Isaac is an innocent, he makes Helen, Ellie, and Kita criminals. And Pam still needs a 4th one who has to be Nala. If it was opposites, Isaac is a criminal. That makes Helen an innocent and Gunny a criminal, and Pam still needs a 4th person who has to be Nala. So Nala is always a criminal, which makes Dennis an innocent. Okay, that was good. Can we go back to the who's opposites with who? I don't think that's gonna work. I'm just gonna have to keep track of it in my head. Maybe Isaac and Kita can be tagged. Now then it says there's an odd number of instances below Ellie. So we have 2 instances already below Ellie, right? We have Uma, and we're gonna have a second one neighboring Helen. So we need a third one to make an odd number, and there's only one person left, Zach. So Zach has to be an instant as well. And we don't need Dennis's clue anymore. Nala says that row 2 is the only row with 2 instants, and we know there's gonna be 2 instances, or maybe there's gonna be 2 criminals if Helen is an innocent. So we're gonna leave that there. Zach says that only one clerk has exactly 2 innocent neighbors. How many clerks are there? 2. Okay, so we know that Ellie is gonna have 2 innocent neighbors because we do know that Helen and Isaac are opposites. Which means that there's no way that Ellie couldn't have 2 innocents neighboring her. So we know that Vicky couldn't be left with 2 innocents, which she already does. So she needs a third one. Will is an instant then. We don't need Zach's clue anymore. Will now says there are more criminals in row 1 than row 5. How do we know how many criminals are there? In row 5 or row 1, we don't. Oh. No. We know that row 2 is the only row with 2 instances. So first thing. So row 5 couldn't have 2 instances only, which means it's gonna have to have at least a third one. Let's say that's Davy. And then that Vicky is a criminal. If that's the case, and row 1 has to have more criminals than that, that will make both Andre and Ellie criminals. Right? If both Vicky and Davy are innocents, then both Ellie and Andre don't need to be criminals because 1 is more than 0. So that's one thing. Second thing is, if there is a way that Andre is ever an innocent, or we look at Kumar, we have to look at Andre, Frida, and Kumar because they are in rows that could be left with 2 innocents, and we know that only row 2 has 2 innocents. So, if we make Isaac innocent now, Kita and Ellie will then be criminals. Ellie, sorry. Helen will be criminal as well, and Gunny will be innocent. That would force Frida to be a criminal, because we know that row 2 has 2 innocents only. Because now we know that row 3 has only 1 innocent, that would force Kumar to be a criminal as well. And the situation between row 1 and row 5 is still unclear, because that doesn't affect these 2. But if we made opposites here, and made Isaac a criminal, that will make Ellie and Kita both innocents, Helen innocent as well, and Gunny a criminal. That would force Frida to be an innocent, so we can have 2 innocents in row 2. And that would force Kuma to be an innocent, so that row 3 isn't left with 2 innocents. So Frida and Kumar are the same. That's one thing we found out. What about Andre though? Because then Andre couldn't be an innocent, otherwise there wouldn't be more criminals in row 1 than row 5. So Andre would have to be a criminal. But in the situation from before, Ellie being a criminal doesn't force Andre to be a criminal. So am I missing something here? Pam is one of Kita's 3 innocent neighbors. Clear the lower tags. Do we have any more clerks? I don't think so. No, we don't. So exactly 2 of Pam's 4 criminal neighbors also neighbor Nala. Okay, so we know that Gunny and Helen are... Is this doing something for Pam? I don't think so. Because these guys are opposites and these guys are opposites. Do we look at Kita now? Because can Kita be an innocent? If she is... That works for Pam. She has 4. Helen has 3 criminal neighbors. And Dennis has 2, so that works. And Kita being a criminal. Dennis is gonna have 3. Pam is gonna have 4. Helen is gonna have 1, 2, 3. She's gonna have, yeah, 3 as well. So I think I'm missing something. Very serious accusations here. There are more criminals in row 1 than row 5. Do we maybe try to prove that we can't have both Andre and Ellie be innocent? I mean, we know we can't have both of them be criminals, or do we not? We know that they can't both be innocent because then there wouldn't be a way for there to be more criminals in row 1 than row 5. There has to be at least one. But can they both be criminals? No, they can't. Row 2 is the only row that has 2 innocents. And row 1 having 2 criminals makes it have 2 innocents as well. So we know that Andre and Ellie are opposites too. So now we see if we can make Andre an innocent. And if we make Andre an innocent, that will make Ellie a criminal. Which would make Isaac an innocent, Kita a criminal. Oh, that doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. What matters, it doesn't matter who is a criminal here. What matters is that there's only one criminal here. And 1 is only greater than 0. So there's 0 criminals in row 5. This is brutal. Thank you, Xavier. Now Vicky says there's an odd number of criminals neighboring Frida. So that goes. That goes. Because if Helen is a criminal, Frida already has 1 innocent, right? Neighboring her. 1 criminal, sorry. She also already has 1 innocent, but Frida has 1 criminal neighboring her. That will make Gunny. We know that Andre and Ellie are opposite, so keep that in mind. That will make Gunny an innocent and Isaac an innocent because of Helen. Isaac will make Ellie and Kita both criminals. Ellie being a criminal makes Andre an innocent. And we know that Frida has to be a criminal because there's 2 innocents in row 2. Now, we couldn't have a second innocent in row 3, so Kumar is a criminal as well. And now Frida is left with 2 criminals, which is definitely not a non-number, so that doesn't work. So we make Helen an innocent, and that makes Gunny a criminal, which makes Isaac a criminal, Ellie and Kita both innocents. Ellie being an innocent makes Andre a criminal. And since we need a third criminal in row, since we need a third innocent in row 3, so it isn't left with 2 innocents. Kumar will be an innocent, and now Frida is left with 3 criminals, which is an odd number. So that's our final scenario here. So it is sort of a chain, sort of a crossroad, sort of a X-wing thingamajig, but it is what it is. We know for sure that all of these people are what we're saying they are, and we are done with the puzzle. Incredible. Half an hour almost. Only 20% of the people have a perfect solve. I hope I could help you there. I did get lost in a few parts, but it's important to be able to backtrack. And like I said yesterday, and I say sometimes, if you need to keep information because you're not really able to keep it, retrieve it from your brain, write it down. Write like the name of the person and what they can and cannot be from what you've already figured out. And then look at it again when you need, and you're gonna get to the solution eventually. So don't rush it. And I hope you have a nice end of your weekend. I'll not be live streaming again today. Sorry about that, but hope you enjoyed the video. See you tomorrow for more Clues by Sam. Bye bye.